It's been about a month since my first impressions video, and after skating the Classic 2 around, I feel I have enough experience to form an opinion strong enough to share with you guys. What up fam, it's your boy Envy, and welcome to my full review of Meepo's Classic 2. For the uninitiated, the Meepo Classic 2 is an electric skateboard marketed towards the entry-level rider. An electric skateboard, in basic terms, is a skateboard that is propelled by at least one motor. A typical electric skateboard is controlled by a handheld remote, of which there are a lot of different models. This board sports the Hobbywing HWS 6123 remote, which is a pretty basic remote, lacking in luxury features such as an LED readout display and cruise control. Let's go over the spec sheet. Now keep in mind, these specs are coming from the manufacturer page. A lot of manufacturers like to flex the numbers for range and top speed. They typically have a lightweight rider riding in optimal conditions, like on a day with minimal wind resistance on a flat elevation with good roads, riding as conservatively as possible. At the time of testing, I weighed 193 pounds, and I was able to fully discharge the board after about 23 miles of use on its fastest speed setting. Third gear, I guess? If you press the gear button on the remote, it goes from slow, not as slow, to faster. I don't know their official names, so I just named them myself. Now I was riding on some pretty decent roads, with some random hills ranging anywhere between 1 to 10 degrees of incline, so Meepo's claim of about a 25-mile range seems pretty reasonable, especially if you're lighter than I am. The acceleration is nice, smooth, and predictable until you hit that third gear. That's when you can start to feel a little bit jumpy. During my testing, I reached a max speed of 22 miles per hour. Now let's talk about those brakes. They're meh. Nowhere near as good as gear-driven boards, and definitely not reliable in a pinch. It's functional enough to get you to stop at a stop sign, but it won't stop you from rolling forward. For example, if I just stood in my garage, which is pretty much a 0-degree incline, I would eventually just roll out of the garage, with the brakes fully engaged. Please, for the love of whatever deity you do or don't worship, do not rely on these in a clutch situation. Better get used to foot braking, guys. So let's talk about comfort a little bit. So, you're riding on hub wheels. On good, even pavement, it's awesome. When skating on sidewalks, the intermittent cracks are bearable. However, on slightly compromised pavement, you're in for a little bit of hurt. For me, after a couple of minutes of riding on sketch pavement, my feet got a little sore. So much so that I've been looking to getting some shoes with a little bit of extra cushioning to compensate. The board has some good concave wings on the edge to keep you nice and locked in. The deck has some cutouts to allow for good clearance of those 100mm wheels. The flex is decent. The board is made of Canadian maple and some fiberglass. Maple wood is classified as a hardwood, so don't expect the flex of the loaded Vanguard or Vanguard style decks. Those decks are typically made of bamboo and fiberglass. Components under the deck are housed in a plastic enclosure, which works against any potential flex the deck itself would have had, since it sits flush against the belly of the board. The biggest thing that this board has going for it is its price to performance ratio. For this price bracket, it's got one of the best ranges available. It's great for commuting and just general cruising. Now, it's no speed demon, so adrenaline junkies look elsewhere. It's got enough power to get you places, but it's barely enough to get you into trouble. Here in California, the legal speed limit for electric skateboards is 20 miles per hour. This wouldn't be good enough for you speedy speed boys or anything. This thing is heavy. At 27.3 pounds, this is a thick boy. Or girl. Or board. Point is, it won't be easy to lug around like any other electric skateboard. Most electric longboards weigh less than 20 pounds. Speaking of other boards, here are the primary metrics for competing boards around the price range. If available, I optioned out the board to be more comparable to the specifications of the Classic 2, with the exception of the Boosted Plus. I included that one as a shout out to my boy IX5. Compared to the competition, the Classic 2 still has the best max range despite being 5 to 10 pounds heavier. In terms of the boosted lineup, the only board in this price bracket would be the Boosted Mini S. I've owned the Boosted Mini S for about 1 month, and I was only able to reach an average of about 5 miles per charge. The Plus was included because it was the cheapest longboard in the boosted lineup. As you can see, the specs are far inferior to the budget boards, so it's hard for me to recommend it in comparison to the competition. The only thing Boosted has going for it is their build quality and reputation. Here are my final thoughts on the board. It's hard to beat the price. If you're like me and just getting into the wonderful world of electric skateboards, this board is a heavy hitter for the budget-minded. It's a board made for long commutes, zipping around town, or people that just want to cruise around on decent streets. Now, I wouldn't recommend this board if you're in an area with under-maintained streets. If you've got some sketch streets, I would say save up for a board with 18 wheels, or get something where you can swap out the wheels, whether it be a belt-driven board or a direct drive motor board. The poly sleeves on the motors make the ride unbearable for compromised streets. The board's not waterproof, it even states so on the website. There aren't many, if any, electric skateboards that are 100% waterproof. The main points of contention for me is the brakes. They are underwhelming to say the least. In a clutch situation, when a car jumps out at you, you need to either brake really hard or bail, in which case you're probably saying bye to your board. The brakes work good enough for city commuting, but be mindful of your surroundings. Keep your head on a swivel and always look where you're going. Some minor gripes I have with the board were the generic documentation. As a budget board made for consumers that aren't enthusiasts and is specifically marketed toward the novice rider, it's hard for me to give Meepo a pass on that manual. The manual is a one-page, black and white printed sheet with pictures so unreadable that it is practically a waste of paper to include it. Yet Meepo found it necessary to include business cards with each model of their current boards, where they could have easily just printed a link to a PDF file. But don't you naysayers tell me that not everybody out there has an internet connection, because if you order this board, you have access to the internet. An entry-level rider wouldn't know how to fully understand and operate the board to its full potential without some trial and error, and some guidance would really be appreciated. Heck, it would take all of 15 minutes to put a PDF file together, or like a Word document for a manual. I mean, I would do it if I worked for them. Hey, shout out to Kieran, hit me up. Now, those are my thoughts on the Meepo Classic 2. I hope this video helped you guys out. If you liked it, I would greatly appreciate a cheeky sub, like, and let me know what else you guys would like to see. Until next time, guys, I'll see you around.